Hey guys, it's Madison, and as you can see, I'm back in my lovely Korean apartment after a nice long 2-month vacation for the winter break from my university. But aside from the fact that I am back in Korea finally, there's another exciting update for you guys, and that is the fact that I'm going to be going to visit Japan, specifically Tokyo, relatively soon. One of my best friends is coming to visit me for 2.5 weeks-ish here in Korea, and as part of that 2.5-week trip, we are going to be spending a 3-day weekend basically in Tokyo. So I am very excited, first of all, just to spend that 2.5 weeks hanging out with my friend Krista here in Korea for the first time in forever. And also the fact that we are going to Japan. It's my first time visiting Japan, so I'm kind of nervous and excited all at the same time. But that also means that I really need to brush up my Japanese before this trip. There's about 5.5 weeks before our trip to Japan happens. However, there's only 4 weeks until my friend arrives, and I'm not gonna be studying intensively while she's here. I'm gonna be hanging out with her. So I have about 4 weeks to kind of intensively focus on Japanese before she comes so that I can feel more confident going on this trip to Japan. To be fair, I probably could go there now with this level of Japanese and be fine, but the idea of going to a foreign country and not really knowing how to engage conversationally in that language makes me feel very nervous, and so I do want to really focus on studying as much as I can over the next month to, again, be as confident as I possibly can while I am there for that 3-day little adventure. If you follow my channel for a while, then you will know that I have studied Japanese for a while now, and in fact, last year I did like a 5-month intensive, like consistent everyday studying Japanese. However, that was focused on reading stories. And so I was really only honing that one skill of reading and also learning, of course, some grammar and vocab and expressions along the way, but mostly just reading. And that's not that helpful for this trip. What I really want to be focusing on is more listening comprehension and kind of more actual conversational style Japanese versus literary, like story written down style Japanese, because I'm probably not going to be reading stories while I'm over in Japan for 3 days. I'm going to be going to stores and checking things out and going to restaurants and stuff. And so that kind of interaction is what I'll actually need to know how to engage in while I'm there. So I'm going to be focusing a lot more on listening stuff and also learning the vocab and expressions that are used in those settings. So my goal for today is to kind of shake the dust off of my very, very rusty Japanese. I haven't actually read anything on Saturday Reader since last August, and I also haven't actually watched any content in Japanese either, like any podcasts, shows, dramas, anything like that since mid-August of last year as well. So it's been over 6 months, I think, since I've actually really engaged with the language. The only thing I've done since then is maybe occasionally read like an Easy News Japan thing, I think twice in that 6 months. And then also I've done a few of the flashcard reviews on Saturday Reader so that I wouldn't actually forget all the vocab I learned during that intensive reading every single day period. But aside from that occasional brushing up on vocab and reading those 2 things, I haven't done like anything in Japanese basically at all for the past 6-7-ish months. So I definitely need a bit of practice to get myself back in that Japanese mindset. So as far as my plans for today specifically, I want to do just a couple of things. I did just land in Korea like less than 24 hours ago, so I'm a bit tired still. I'm not going to push myself too hard while I am jet lagged and a bit kind of groggy in the mind because of that, but a couple of things I do want to do. Number one is the Irodori textbook, which is that free online textbook that I mentioned in a few videos like way back when on my channel. I kind of dropped it last April because it was primarily focused on topics that were helpful if you're actually in Japan. And at the time, that wasn't really helpful to me being out of Japan, but now that I'm actually gonna go to Japan, once again, those topics have become useful. So I might kind of flip through that and look and see if there's some chapters I want to study there. And then also, I think I might try Lingopie for the first time. I think by now they actually offer all 3 of the languages that I learn, which is Japanese, Korean, and Mandarin. I think Mandarin is a more recent addition, but that's nice to know that they have all 3 languages. Like I said, I'm gonna be focusing primarily on Japanese for now, since I am traveling there so soon. And I think they have the option for a 7-day free trial. So I'm gonna try it at least for this next week and see if I like it, at least enough to continue for a month of paid subscription. So that's the plan for today. I might do a few other things here and there if I have the energy. Again, like I said, I am jet lagged, so we'll see. But that's my rough plan for today. But yeah, enough rambling for me. Let's go ahead and jump into actually doing some Japanese learning.
魚のように泳げます。
仕事のことは川崎さんに聞いてください。
川崎です。よろしくお願いします。
quick check-in. As you guys saw, I started out my little study day with a few videos from the YouTube channel Comprehensible Japanese. I watched 3 videos, I think, from her beginner playlist, which are honestly probably a bit below my level technically, especially as far as grammar is concerned. It's always like very, very, very basic sentences. However, even though they are like very grammatically simple, there are usually at least a few words, if not several words per story that are new to me. So at least for the sake of vocab and like getting in the Japanese like mindset, I like putting on those videos just for a quick little simple easy listening comprehension activity. So that's always a nice little warm up for me. And then as you guys also saw, I did a few little exercises from the first chapter of Irodori. I didn't do all of them, I just picked the ones that felt most relevant / most entertaining for me to do. And then finally, I went ahead and made an account on Lingopie for Japanese. And honestly, it looked a little bit different than I was expecting. It seems like it's mostly Netflix-based content, at least for Japanese. They don't have a ton of Lingopie like original content, at least not yet, at least from what I could tell. Again, I've only like briefly skimmed through the homepage, but it seems like it's mostly Netflix generated content, which is fine, honestly, especially since most of the Netflix content looked more interesting than the Lingopie original content. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go ahead and make dinner now and watch something on there while I eat. Hopefully it's fairly intuitive. I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, I will check back in later tonight with my kind of final thoughts for the day on my first impressions of Lingopie for Japanese. All right, let's talk about Lingopie. I hate it is the short review. Honestly, I don't know what dictionary or software they're using to break down like phrases and words and stuff, but even though like the overall translations that they'll show you like on the screen all at once will be accurate, once you click on a phrase, again, the phrase will be accurate, like accurately translated, but then if you like break down the phrase, which they give you the option to do, it becomes like nonsensical. Like when they actually parse out words, they give you like these random meanings that are like sometimes just incorrect, sometimes the opposite of what they actually should mean. I don't know, like something about their dictionary and software is just not optimal for Japanese at this time. That was the biggest issue, that just like the dictionary was giving me like nonsensical definitions, but also some more minor things I also didn't really enjoy. First of all, my first video that I opened up was a Lingopie original, I think, and before I started watching it, it gave me like some suggested vocab for my level, they said, but I had chosen intermediate and they showed me like the very, very, very most basic possible like grammar particles and stuff that exist in Japanese. So that's beginner, that's not intermediate. Like there's no gray area. It's like the most basic particles, like the most basic small little bits of Japanese are not intermediate level. So that was again a little bit weird, but not a deal breaker. The inaccurate dictionary translations are a much bigger deal. And then also for the Netflix shows, they actually like change the translations. So if you're watching a Japanese show from Netflix on Lingopie, they're not going to show you Netflix's English translations. They're going to show you their own translations, which at first I thought they were going to show like a more like direct translation, like a more direct version of what the Japanese is saying, instead of where Netflix will sometimes like put a more like an expression more natural to your native language, that kind of thing. I thought they were not going to do that, but instead it was just like a less accurate translation. Like for example, there were some times where in the show somebody was talking in the third person, but they weren't using any subjects at all. In Japanese, you can like drop the subject entirely, but Lingopie was using the first person in the English translation, even though it was like talking about somebody else very clearly. So it was just wrong. And again, that's my biggest issue, like the incorrect overall subtitles or the incorrect like breakdown of phrases. Like that's a big deal. Like you're giving incorrect information, and that's the whole point of Lingopie, is like to be able to like, you know, look at what things mean, right? I also just didn't really like how if it marked like something as a phrase, you couldn't save any of the individual elements of the phrase. Like for example, there was a phrase like to be recognized by people, and I just wanted to know the verb like recognize. I didn't want the entire phrase conjugated in that sentence, but I couldn't save just that one individual word. I had to save the entire phrase, and like that happened quite a bit where I just wanted like to know the verb and like actually save the verb, but I couldn't. I could only save the entire hot mess. So that was also a little bit annoying. So yeah, basically everything about this website so far for Japanese, I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna be using it again, I don't think, at least for Japanese. I might give it a shot, you know, since I do have 7 days of a free trial. I might try it out for Korean and Mandarin. Korean, honestly, I'm not very hopeful, unless just their dictionary software is better for Korean, because Korean and Japanese have a very similar grammar style. And so if it had difficulty parsing out parts of Japanese phrases, I would imagine the same issue would exist in Korean. Again, I haven't tried it yet, so I guess I'll find out later, but I'm not too hopeful because of that. Mandarin, because it is more kind of grammatically simple and there's not like conjugations and stuff, it might be better actually. Again, I'll have to test it out in the future and see. But for this video, from what I tried for Japanese, would not recommend for Japanese learners to try Lingopie, at least not yet. Perhaps in the future they'll fix these issues again, but so far, no, not a fan at all. Honestly, I was actually really excited. I've seen so many ads and so many like other content creators like talking about Lingopie, and I just really wanted to give it a shot for a long time, and I'm just so disappointed. It's so not what I was hoping it would be, honestly. Like I, for one, really enjoy things like Satori Reader where you can like read a story and save flashcards, and so I was thinking, you know, the same thing existing for a show would be really nice, but it's just the software is not accurate enough yet for me to enjoy it. Yeah, all in all, I'm just disappointed. So that's probably it for Japanese learning for this video. I need to go work on video editing for the video that was supposed to go up yesterday but didn't because I was in the air flying to Korea. If after that I do have some time and energy, because again I am jet lagged, so who knows when I'm gonna crash and burn, but if I do have energy, then I might watch something else on Netflix, just Netflix, not Lingopie Netflix, just plain old Netflix. If not, then this is it for today. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and until then, annyeong.